Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to be giving you an integrated pest management overview. Julie Barber, IPM Advocate, will be your presenter today. A big thank you to our partner agencies. Doing the work of keeping the water clean has made a big difference in everybody's lives, and we really appreciate working with you. The purpose of this training is to provide municipal staff or contractors who manage pests with a foundational understanding of IPM and, most critically, where additional information can be found. In other words, this is slightly different than what homeowners might be doing. We are addressing municipal staff. We will be covering regulatory requirements. What is a pest? What is IPM? The IPM program overview, record keeping, recommended pest control products, and especially their active ingredients, a summary, and the additional information and resources. It always begins with the regulatory requirements, and we're talking about the Basin Plan Amendment for the control of pyrethroid pesticide discharges. We are charged with protecting water quality in the Sacramento and San Joaquin River watersheds. We will manage pesticide use to prevent harm to aquatic life in streams and rivers. What is a pest? A pest is a very broad category. It's any unwanted organism that may damage or interfere with desirable plants, damage structures, or impact human or animal health, and also may cause some sort of economic harm. And we're looking at plants, vertebrates, invertebrates, nematodes, and pathogens. Of course, we all know that there are beneficial vertebrates, beneficial invertebrates, beneficial nematodes, and definitely beneficial bacteria and fungi. So we're going to be looking very closely at which ones are a pest, but not jumping to the conclusion that it is till we've done our research. So integrated pest management is a broader way of looking at things, and there are lots of scientific ways to describe it, but it really is an ecosystem-based strategy that focuses on long-term prevention of pests or their damage. And we're going to use a combination of techniques. There's biological, habitat, there's modification of cultural practices, and use of resistant varieties. Integrated pest management, when you use it, always starts with the question, is it a pest? And then the second question always is, why is it there? Not just reaching for a control, not just reaching for a pesticide, but finding out why it's there and addressing those causes. And a lot of those details are going to be in the second module, but we will cover some of those today. Implementation. So to use IPM successfully, you've got 4 steps. First, you're going to identify the pest and monitor progress. To be fair, identify the pest is something that we've traditionally glossed over, and that's not fair. Identifying is a huge job, and it's not necessarily easy. So we've got lots of time available. Your team is available. Always find out who it is, and then monitor the progress. A lot of guys are only a problem for 2 weeks, and then it's not a problem. If the problem became longer, you're looking at setting your action threshold. So aphids, they make a lot of that sticky goo for about 2 weeks in the spring, and your walkway to the buildings are sticky and icky and full of filth. But if the problem lasts longer than that, now you have a threshold that is unacceptable. So sometimes you have a threshold of 0, and sometimes you have a threshold of a whole bunch. And it will be different for each thing. Once you set your thresholds, you're going to find out how to prevent them from happening. Often that turns out to be, for example, for weeds in the lawn or that you have around the business. If the lawn is being mowed short, the sun is hitting the soil and you're growing weeds and not a happy lawn. So when you prevent, it often ends up being how you're taking care of the outside of the building so that pests don't get a real foothold. And then you're going to control them. So you're mowing taller, you're putting down your mulch 3 inches deep also to stop the sun from hitting the soil and preventing weeds from being successful. And step number 4, the control, you're also going to find out that there are lots of options for you. We always want you to find the one that's going to target that criminal, whether it be a weed, a disease, or anything else that's going to target that guy. If you get something that says it's going to target 500, 700 guys, you are overshooting and you're now taking out all the beneficials and you're left with a bigger problem than you had before. Let's talk about ants as an example. So you've got a business, you've got a municipal building, and without IPM on the top row there, you'll see that there are ants marching in, and then they're coming inside. And then you reach for that spray and you spray them. And then on the last panel on the top, you see that they're still coming in. Without IPM, all you're doing is spraying the few guys that you find, but not addressing why they're coming inside and not stopping them from coming inside. If you look at the bottom set of 4 with IPM, you notice that the ants are coming inside. And by the way, ants have a high threshold tolerance for outside and almost a 0 tolerance for any inside. So here we go. You saw them coming in. Know that in the summer, it is so dry out there that the ants are desperate for a drink of water and they're coming inside of the building to get some of your water. If it is that dry outside that the ant, this tiny little ant, can't find any water outside, everything outside is miserable. Your plants are without water, your soil was without water, and the ants are coming to you. So you go outside, you find out where they're snaking in the building, you close it up with caulk. You also check on your irrigation. Maybe it broke, maybe the dog tripped on it, maybe something is clogged, but I can promise you that if they're coming in the summer, it's because they're thirsty, which means your plants are also thirsty. So if you address all of that, you look at, there are no longer ants coming in. You get to have 0 threshold, but we always ask why they're coming in. So IPM and pesticides. So there's a misconception out there that pesticides are illegal and you're not allowed to use them if you adhere to IPM principles. That is not true. You absolutely get to use chemical intervention. However, when you look at IPM, for example, if you looked up ants on the site, you would see pages and pages of information about the life cycle and where they live and what they thrive in. And down at the very bottom are the pesticide options. Because if we don't handle why they're there, they will keep coming back. And how do you decide when to use it again? So that's what your monitoring is about. So if you spray and you find that they came back within 2 weeks, you need to go back on your IPM steps and reevaluate which pesticide option you used. Because if you don't choose the right product, if you don't apply it the correct way, when and where and how much, you now have a pesticide that has become a free agent, free to harm human health, free to harm beneficial and non-target organisms, and definitely can cause damage all along the spectrum of anywhere in the environment. So we are very careful. When you use IPM, you get success, and you get it a lot faster than you would by immediately going to a spray option, and for a much longer period of time. And now you're reducing those target pests and only those target pests, and you're leaving everybody else alone to keep the soil healthy, the building healthy, maintain economic security, and have healthy working conditions. Now you've reduced the number of pesticide applications. One point that makes a big difference to agencies is that then saves a tremendous amount of money while protecting human health and the environment. So you have a policy. There is an IPM program that your agency has developed, and there's a policy. This policy document provides guidance to the coordinator and agency staff. So refer to it. Know that it is something that might change over time as you figure things out. However, there is a document. Of course there is. And it's going to have your overall IPM approach. is going to have the role of the IPM coordinator, and it's going to have agency-specific details. For example, product bans. There's product bans, there's active ingredient bans. Many of you have pesticide applicators, people who have passed a test and taken ongoing CE, and they will be very familiar with active ingredients that are no longer allowed on site and for proper disposal. And then, of course, how the IPM program will be implemented. So your agency is going to have an IPM coordinator, and those primary responsibilities include assisting staff who manage pests, and they're going to assist with the education and the training, the IPM application and guidelines, notification of pesticide applications. This is very important. You don't get to just spray, and you all know that. You have outreach where you have to let people know that you've applied these things. And then any pesticide application contracts, and of course, record keeping. The record keeping is going to help you a lot with the monitoring. So definitely do it and follow those guidelines. It's going to make the long-term difference. So the agency staff who manage pests are going to follow the policy to minimize pesticide use. If pesticides must be used, follow all federal, state, and local regulations. Adhere to your agency's pesticide and herbicide related guidance documents and retain records of all the methods you used in any pesticide applications. In addition to following federal, state, and local regulations, know this: the label of the product is the law. It is a legal contract and it has to be followed. If you do not follow it, you have made that product far less efficient. And now you risk having to spray again, risk having wasted a lot of money, and you broke the law. So there you go, follow all these regulations. The record keeping. So you have a PCA, pest control advisor, and they're going to supply a recommendation form. Staff should maintain records of the IPM methods used in any pesticide applications, and the IPM coordinator will give you those forms to complete. The IPM coordinator or PCA will prepare a follow-up record detailing actions taken and effectiveness. You're going to find all about products, and there you have less toxic options that are meant to target the problem at hand, and they are organized by brand, pest, and active ingredients. So go ahead and take a look at those. I think they're also alphabetical, so they're easy to use, and they're going to give you a real clear starting point. Integrated pest management is a highly effective strategy that can be used to control pests and reduce reliance on pesticides. Successful IPM programs identify the pests, monitor the progress, set action thresholds, prevent and control. Your agency has developed an IPM policy and other guidance documents to help you implement an IPM program. For additional information and resources, we have some excellent sites for you. Know that they can be a bit chewy, but we're here to help. Pick your pest, identify your pest, look at the information, consult your team, consult the experts, and you will see that IPM works. The insect, bug, and spider identification has been extremely useful. I found that this site is friendly. You can use it. There's a wildlife pest ID tool, which also includes, just for fun, how to identify the pest by the scat they left behind, and a plant disease identification. Thank you so much to all of our partner agencies for being a part of IPM, a part of keeping our water safe, following the mandates set out by the Basin Plan Amendment. And we are here for you anytime you need assistance. Thank you.